Rivalry are really excited to be supporting Fnatic, and to kick off that relationship, we're sitting down with EternalEnVy to kind of talk about his past year in Dota and what's coming up at TI. So how are you tonight, Envy?
I mean, I'm good. I'm not sure how to respond to that question. I'm not a very social person.
You're obviously prepping for TI. I'm guessing you had a bunch of scrims and practicing today?
Yeah. We played like 6 games of scrims, and yeah, did some other stuff, and yeah, just pubs.
What do you think are things that interest fans the most? Like, why do people watch Dota? Why do you think people watch Dota?
Um, hmm. I feel like they just want to be part of something like that they find amazing and cool. Like a lot of fans probably feel like pro players are doing really cool things or things that they want to be able to do, and they just want to be a part of it one way or another. That's why I think like people watch things live instead of like replays or something.
People just want a way to be invested. So you used to be you created your own team. So as a player, obviously you're always invested. But if we go back and think about Team NP, I mean that's a whole different level of investment. What has it been like transitioning from owner to kind of not just a player? Obviously, I don't want to say just, but what's that transition been like from NP over to Fnatic?
I don't know. I actually didn't think much about it, to be honest. But I guess like I have a little bit more time than usual.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like cause I still had to deal with a lot of stuff on MP, like even post MP. Like cause in Dota, like a lot of payments don't come till way later, depending on the tournament. Like Valve, like they pay like literally like maybe to the day after the tournament ends. But for a lot of our tournaments, like it can take a while. It might even take like we still haven't been paid yet for one tournament, and like we're still dealing with like we had to get a lawyer and stuff. So so yeah, it's kind of been around the same, to be honest. But I haven't been like looking for sponsors or anything like that, so I haven't had to deal with that. But like in terms of like like what I do for our team, like because I'm still captain of a team, I still feel very responsible.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like the pressure level is the same then? You didn't really lose any of that pressure, even with the switch?
I think my personality, like, the pressure I feel would generally be around the same regardless of what I'm really doing. But I definitely gained, like, an hour a day or something, on average.
So another thing, kind of in the same line as your transition, from NP over to Fnatic, that's also a big regional change. So everybody talks about C pubs and how they're different. Obviously, we've heard enough about that. But I want to know, how has playing in Southeast Asia changed how you think about Dota?
Like, my understanding of Dota changes, like, quite fast. Like whatever region I play in, it's gonna change. I feel like it's changed a lot this year, but I wouldn't say it's because like of the region. Like my understanding of Dota, I don't think it changed much from the region because uh, on this team, like the C players I played with, like they kind of like changed like towards like what I wanted to do, or like they understood more from what I wanted to do. Like they're not really the type of players that like would change like would teach me like new concepts or ideas. They're more like players that like learn, and like they're extremely skilled players. Um, but like what I did learn a lot about C is like outside of Dota, like it's still part of Dota, but like how teammates are like in C, like one giant difference I have in C than playing from other teams is like the amount of pressure. I feel like the C players don't pressure you as much as Western players. I feel like Western players are a lot more judgmental, and they, I don't know. I guess they just have a lot of expectations, like, and some of them like not very I don't know, like proper expectations. For like, I'm not sure how to make a term for it. But I feel like C players, they you, know, you just don't feel like they're judging you like all the time. So it's a very nice change actually.
If you could pick a region just to play in for 6 months, where do you think you'd learn the most from?
I'm not sure. Like, I mean, I would definitely learn the most from China if I could speak the language.
Hmm.
But right now, I'm not sure. Like, because the Dota is so like big. Like you can watch replays. You can play against Liquid, like or whatever. Like at a LAN, like everyone around the world flies to the same tournaments. Um, you don't really like the regions aren't really that segregated. It's only like maybe the Chinese region that's like super segregated from everyone else. I don't know, it's not the same as before. Like a few years back, like everyone would have their own specific playstyle. Like every region would have their own very very specific playstyle. But nowadays, especially this year, like teams learn from each other and they're, like there are very very different type of teams in the same exact region.
Have you noticed a difference in kind of like fan feedback and crowd support? So, like Southeast Asian players that you play with are less judgy, we'll say. Have you noticed a difference with kind of the fans that you've gained while playing in Southeast Asia? Or are they the same as your Western fans?
Oh, I mean the judging stuff. I think it's just my teammates potentially. I only play with like a few C players,
Yeah.
but in pubs like that's not exactly the case. Like the I feel like I get judged way more in the pubs in C than anywhere I've ever played. Like I don't know, in C playing here, there are a lot more fans. Like people like a lot more players at the top that are like kind of our fans. Like I get stream watched like cheated like a lot more often. Like back when I was playing in NA/Europe, like I don't feel like people were stream cheating me as much or people were on my stream as much. But like when I play on C, like when I say something, like they would type out what I said on chat like constantly. Like this is what happened in every game. And whenever I'm in a game, they will always like say like, "Or you turn to be like," and they're saying it like to joke with me, or they're saying it like for real. Like they're constantly talking about it. But like in Europe, like someone would ask me if I'm streaming like maybe once every like 10 games or 5 games. Like whereas here it's like literally every game. Like 3 people are gonna comment on the fact that I'm in the game. Um,
So more intense. The fandom's a little more intense after playing in Southeast Asia.
yeah, it's a little more crazy. I personally don't enjoy the fandom in the game itself. Like, cause in the game, like they're usually on my team, and they're like they're constantly talking to me. Like I have to mute them. It feels really bad because I actually don't want to mute them, and they just keep like harassing me, and they harass me on like both teams. It happens every game, so I don't like that aspect of playing too.
Whatever's happening over there, it's working for you because you guys have been playing really well. You made it to the finals of the summit. You're headed into TI. So maybe the intensity is good for training. So I want to talk a little bit about TI. You're talking about how the resources are a lot bigger, right? There's replays to watch, there's stats. What are your feelings on support staff? We've seen coaching and statisticians, even psychologists, chefs, everything step in. What do you think a team absolutely needs in the form of support staff to really succeed?
I mean, I don't think teams particularly need anything to succeed, like except like computers and like a place to live that's like not ridiculous, and like food and stuff. When it comes to like management and coaching and stuff, like there are very different types of coaches and management, and they are all extremely useful in their own way. Um, but I don't think anything is like completely a necessity. Like you don't need it for sure. Like you can do well without a coach. Like so, for example, at newbie got second place last year at TI. They didn't have a coach. Same with Wings. You know, they never had a coach. I don't even think their organization was very good. And like from what I've heard, like I mean, there was a lot of drama afterwards, like talking about it, and they won the entire TI. So, um, but yeah, it's very nice. I think in the future, like there's gonna be a lot more coaches, a lot more management when the pro players like start to retire and go into that direction. Right now, coaching is it's still very new. Same with management. I think like everything is just like it's still in the early stages. So yeah.
Okay, so one of the things, especially at the summit, honestly, for years, the joke has been that EternalEnVy teams have these very, very long games, right? That's just what everybody expects. Everybody making compendium predictions is just like, oh, Fnatic will be there, long games. But there really is something to be said for that, watching you play and hitting that 40, 50, 60-minute mark. I mean, there's something exceptional that happens that you really come into your element, and that's not to say you guys don't have great early game or anything else. I'm just curious. You have to have been asked this before, but what do you think it is about reaching that stage of game that kind of like kicks it into an extra gear for you?
I'm not exactly sure. I just feel like in the laning stage, there's actually just too much information on the map. Like I can't see all the information. Like I can't see if mid's like last hitting him or whatever. I can't see anything. I can only see what's in front of me. Like I can't even see my support. Like what he's doing sometimes. Like even though he's right, like, kind of a similar location to me. But whereas in the late game, like things are a lot more slow. Like they, like you're playing more as a unit. Like you're gonna have more heroes together, like more constantly, and when that happens, like as a carry player, like going to a late game, I can make a lot more judgment on how we should play. Whereas in early game, like I don't feel like I can do that much. So yeah.
So it's all about focus, just the ability to really focus, and that becomes easier later on into the game.
It's just at the end of the game, there's a lot more team movement involved, and I'm much better at that than like understanding very small individual movements from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why. I'm also just like a late game fanboy. Like I really enjoy the late game. Like it's really fun. Like coming back is really fun, and like a long time ago, like. Every time there was a throne root race, I would literally watch all throne races, and I would try to figure out how to do it better on both sides. And I would every time there's any epic game, I would always watch. Like this is a long time ago. I don't do that anymore. But a few years back, like when I first started playing, like every time there's any epic game, I would skip all the way to the end, and I would analyze like what people can do. Because the end game is very like very weird. It's not very standard. So. People can make a lot of mistakes that they don't even understand they're making, and I don't know, I just studied it, so maybe that's why. Who knows?
It's something I hadn't thought of, but yeah, no, late game is messier for sure. Do you feel like that gives you an advantage?
It's messier, but it's like still more like your team's still playing more together.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can look at things more. Like the messiest thing is actually the laning phase, because everyone's just CSing at different lanes, and you actually don't understand what's happening any other lane except your lane. Yeah. Anyway, what do you say?
No, so just we can move on from this. It's just an interesting viewpoint I hadn't thought of. But thinking about focus and the different focusing stages throughout the game of what's messy and what's clear, I also want to talk just about that Aegis. I mean, this is TI8. You've been to several TIs. Obviously, everybody wants to win the Aegis, and that's the goal is to win the tournament. But is that on your mind? Like, are you thinking about that when you're drafting and when you're playing, or is it one game at a time and you're not really thinking about the grand finals at all?
In the past few years, like I've always like I went into every tournament like expecting to win, not even wanting to win. I was expect. It didn't matter if we were underdogs or what. Like I would always think in that direction. I'll always be destroyed if we don't win or whatever. Like I mean, this is like especially early on, like the first few years. But recently I stopped thinking like that. I don't think it's very useful. Like it's not very useful going in. Like it can't really be useful. Like going in with expectations or going in with like, oh, we should beat this team, or like we're expected to lose against this team, or we should expect a certain placement. Like it's very human to think about all these things. It's very normal. I expect everyone to be thinking about these things, like every single player, but it's not very useful. So if you're thinking it, I just try to understand. If I am thinking it, like I just try to like be like, oh, you know, this is pretty useless, and I move on. So I try to not think of anything like that's not in the Dota when I'm analyzing Dota.
So you have an Aegis winner on your team already with Universe, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you feel about that? Like if you guys win, he's gonna have two of them, and you'll still have to catch up, but he's on your own team.
Yeah, I think in the past I would be thinking about this a lot. I think in the past I would actually leave a team, like I think it was like pre-secret. Like, I had a rule where I'm not allowed to play with any player that like was considered good, which is ridiculous. Like that was actually my rule. Like I would never play with any team that was already like stabilized. Like I didn't join EG for that reason. I didn't try to join secret, like create a team of secret for that reason. Like there was like a time like where it could have happened like during even the Sing Sing C9, where a team could have been created of like the TI winners, but I didn't want to be part of that. Like I mean, I try to stop it from happening. It does not happen. And then during the same year, I was invited to EG and I didn't join. And I didn't join EG like multiple times after because EG was considered like one of the top teams. But then after Secret, like that was no longer like a rule that I stood by, even though I still cared. But now I don't care at all. Like now I don't think about any of these things. I'm just trying to do what's the best I can do, and like that's my goal. My goal is not even to win TI anymore. I don't think it's a very useful goal because I think even when you win TI, you're just gonna feel really freaking empty for like the next 2 weeks after. Like my goal is literally just to do the best I can, like every day.
Yeah, no, it's a good goal, and I don't know. Do you think that takes some of the pressure off and actually lets you play better?
I mean, it does take off some pressure, but more usefully, it just takes off useless thoughts. Like what's the point? Like you don't want to play some pub game, you lose to some player, and you're like, you know, this player is gonna get a higher placement than me at TI, like, or like whatever. Like you lose some scrim to some team, and you're like, oh, you know, this team's gonna do better than us. Like it actually doesn't matter. It's actually just completely useless.
And so it just comes back to focus. No distracting thoughts. No distracting laning phase. Just focus on winning the Dota game.
It's just about making things easier for yourself in life, I think.
No, it's a good philosophy, and actually, I think that's a good place to end this. Just it's about making things easier for yourself in life and not getting distracted. Thank you for just sitting down and talking with me. This was fascinating. Do you have any shout outs or any closing thoughts you wanna say here?
Shout out to my stream. Shout out to Enren. Shout out to Kevin Yee. Shout out to my teams or what if they eventually will read this or whatever or watch this. And shout out to my girlfriend.
That's a good one. I like that one. All right. Well, thank you so much, Envy, and good luck at TI. Go Fnatic.
Thank you.